Today on The Whole Person Mindset, I'm interviewing Howard Dekkers. He's a financial freedom consultant who teaches people how to master their own finances so they can have freedom in life. Many of us were not taught the necessary financial principles to live a life of financial freedom. We're talking about what it means to have the mindset of financial freedom and the habits that come from the mindset as we learn to grow and to develop in it. So without any further ado, today I want to welcome our guest, Howard Dekkers. Howard, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, Evan. Looking forward to chatting with you for the next 15 minutes, half hour.
Well, man, it's my pleasure to have you on. You know, I love what you teach and what you coach. And because one, Zig Ziglar says, the thing next to God that you need most after that is breathing and then finances. So it's God, oxygen, finances. Because without finances, you can't function in life. And one of the things that, just really intrigues me is this idea of financial freedom. And I know that's arbitrary. Like what is financial freedom? It can be defined many different ways for many different people. If you look at Instagram or TikTok or all these other social media platforms or Shark Tank or these other, there's this idea that financial freedom is, millions and millions of dollars and, the Lamborghini, the amazing looking trophy spouse and etc. But for someone like me, that doesn't resonate. Would I love to have millions and millions of dollars? Yeah. Maybe in my life I'll reach it. But for someone who's working a 9-to-5 or early in their entrepreneur journey, what should a realistic understanding or goal of financial freedom be?
Well, like you said, there's different definitions for financial freedom. My definition, I didn't really have it, 30 years ago when I was in my financial freedom run. All I knew is that I was going to be more successful than my dad. That was one of my definitions of success. I blew him away, and I knew I wanted to have millions of dollars someday in the future. So everybody's going to come up with their own definition, whatever that may be. It might be, somebody might think $1 million is a lot of money. So that's their goal. $1 million. But once they get there, they'll find out that $1 million really isn't that much money nowadays. And as far as setting goals, it's hard for people to set goals for what the financial freedom is going to look like because they don't understand how money grows. Most people think there's no way I'll ever save $1 million. And that's their mentality. They don't understand that if they take baby steps now with little bit of money, constantly going from their checkbook to a brokerage account where your money earns 10%, that 100,000 that you will have invested over that a certain amount of time will be worth $1 million or $2 million. So I would just say, a great definition is the ability to do what you want, when you want, and how you want. Someday I don't want to have to work. And I want enough money coming in where I can live my existing lifestyle. Or, in the course that I teach, I teach people how to actually invent their lifestyle. How much money are you going to need 30, 40 years from now to be able to live this lifestyle? So, the goal is not having to work. Now, am I saying retire? No, I'm not saying retire. Look at me. I'm an older guy and I'm not retired. I'm sitting here teaching people how to become financially free. Can I be retired? Absolutely. I mean, I don't have to work, but I do it because my new definition of financial freedom, and I'm there, I've got enough money coming in every month to pay my bills, but it's to give back and teach people what my dad taught me. So, everybody's going to come up with their own definition. And once they have that definition, then that's what we got to work towards.
What does, I think one of the most important things in our life is financial education. And our schools really didn't teach us that. I had a few teachers that, taught how to balance a checkbook. That's about it. How to do algebra, but not about financial education. So if someone is in the process of developing their understanding, what 1, 2, 3 steps would you share for someone to learn and to grow in their financial education?
Well, first of all, the most important thing is, and by the way, as we've talked about in class, I have an online course that teaches everything I'm going to talk about right now. The first thing a person has to understand, and they have to know how money grows. Most of us were not taught how money grows. They haven't been taught that if I put $50 away every month automatically, and this is all automatic through technology, what's it going to be worth in 20 years? What's it going to be worth in 30 years? So perfect example, if somebody puts $50 a month away automatically, and this is what I teach, in 30 years, they will have invested $18,000, but it will have grown to $114,000. So the power of compounding and doubling has turned that 18,000 into over 100,000. And
so step one, learn about compound interest.
Step one, right. You need to understand how money grows, number one. Number two, you really need to analyze total income coming into the household and where it's going. And I've developed a one-page plug-and-play Excel spreadsheet budget that I designed it so that anybody, even if they don't know spreadsheets, all they got to do is plug in numbers. So what I want them to see is this is how much I'm making. This is what my take-home pay is. This is where it's going. And 99% of the people that are living to paycheck, there's not a budget item for forced investing. That's the first thing. So they got to be able to see if they're bringing in $4,000 a month in take-home pay, they should be investing 10% of that every month, which is $400. And that's the first line item on their budget, meaning they have now learned how to pay themselves first.
So this, take my wife, for example. She has a matching 401k. So she put in, I think, like 6%, and then they match. Does that count as the 10%, or is that in
Absolutely. And if they are matching her 6%, that's the number one, the best investment she can be making. However, as soon as she has extra money, she also wants to be putting $6,000 a month into a Roth IRA. Absolutely, because our goal in our financial freedom run is to grow our money 10% a year. Mm-hmm. If we can grow our money 10% a year, that means it will double every 7.2 years. Your wife's is doubling overnight. So now she's taken that doubling effect because the business is matching it. She's putting in 100, they're putting in 100. She's just made 100% on her money day one. Now we take that, and that's into this financial freedom plan. And now that is continuing to multiply at 10% a year. So number one is understand money. Number two is understand how much is coming in, watching where it's going. Number three, once you have this done, and this is actually module 3 in my program, is money mindfulness. Now that we know how much money we're spending, let's figure out a way to turn some of this money that we're spending to convert it into a financial freedom plan. And the perfect way to do this, and here's the perfect example. And then what we do is we go through examples. I'll find anybody who goes through the course $200 to $500 a month if they don't know they have. Perfect example is Starbucks. Starbucks is one of the most successful companies in the world right now. And everybody, almost every college student goes to Starbucks every day on their way to school. And they'll be going to Starbucks 5 times a week, spending $5, and they're not even thinking about it. So basically, $5 a day times 5 is $25 a week. Times 4 is $100 a month. That's on their budget that's going to Starbucks. So now what I'm going to show them, this is what I want you to do. I don't want to get rid of your luxuries. I want you to go twice a week instead of 4 or 5 times a week. Instead of giving Starbucks $100 a month, I only want you to give them $50 a month. And then I want to set up an automatic program where it's going to take $50 that you were giving to Starbucks, and it's going to transfer it into a brokerage account that I'm going to help you set up. And then a couple of days later, we're going to invest it in index funds that average 10% a year growth. By doing that, I just found them, first of all, $50 a month that they didn't know they had because they were giving it to Starbucks. In 30 years, that $50 a month will grow to $113,000 at 10% compound interest. Now, another example of the third thing I talked about, money mindfulness, is a car, because car payments destroy financial freedom plans. You don't know how many people I know have $650 car payments. And when you ask them why, it's because I can afford $650 a month. So this is what I want them to do. I want them to sell that car. I don't care how much they like it, sell it. And I want them to buy a car that's $325 a month instead of $650. So now, instead of giving the bank $650 a month, I want them to only give the bank $325 a month. And we're going to set up where that other $325 that was going to the bank, it's one of your expenses, it's now going to be going into your financial freedom plan automatically. And we set it up one time.
Yeah.
In 30 years, that'll be worth $740,000. So the point is, just 2 things of being money mindful. I just found a person $855,000 30 years from now. So understanding how money grows, budgeting, being money mindful, just picking a few things and changing your habits. Those are 3 powerful concepts that work.
Let's pretend for a second that someone doesn't have a high-end car payment and they're in the crazy cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and they don't have much of any extra money. What should someone do? What can someone do to get out of the crazy cycle of living paycheck to paycheck?
Okay. The first thing they need to know, and it goes right back to that budget. The budget isn't just for somebody to look at a piece of paper and say, holy shit, I'm broke. I'm spending all my money. It's to open up our eyes and understand this budget, which is my current standard of living. I can't save any money. So now what I got to do is I either got to find some way on this budget to lower this so I've got some money, or I've got to look at the income level. You know, if you want to be financially free, you cannot be lazy. If you're lazy, you're done. You will never be financially free. So we use the budget. Now that we know where we are financially and we cannot save for the future, we've got to go into our boss and ask for a raise. Now that we understand and we see how much we're getting and how much is going out and we don't have enough money for us, we got to be able to go into our boss and say, look I just did my family budget. I have to make more money. So I'm requesting $1,000 a month raise, whatever it is. And obviously, your boss isn't going to give you a raise if you're not worth it.
Yeah.
And that is why it's is very important. And, I was looking at some of your stuff, faith, family, finances, friend, fitness. We've got to understand that for us to get to where we want to go in life, we have to give a lot of service to other people so that they recognize our possible contribution to wherever they're going. So what we have to do is learn to go the extra mile in everything that we do. So before you go to that boss and ask for a raise, you better damn well be giving him more service or more value than what he's paying you for. And if you're not, and if you're the person that is going in, punching in, and you're the first person to punch out, you don't give a shit about anything else but getting your paycheck, your boss isn't going to give you a raise. So now, but let's say now that the boss says, no, I'm not giving you a raise, you know what you have to do. You have to go to Indeed. You have to go to LinkedIn or wherever you go, and you have to get it. You now know how much you have to make. You know that if I want to put $500 a month into my automatic freedom plan so that I have $1.5 million 30 years from now, this job needs to pay me this. So now you know what you need to get to where you want to go. One of the things we do in the course is a goal setting of how much money do we want? And we go through calculators together, and it's exciting when you see how much $100 a month will add up to in 30, 40 years, how much $50 a month. A person can start with $10 a month. The point is, everybody makes enough money to start out with $10 a month, because I guarantee you they have an expensive cell phone. They probably have one of the latest iPhones. Okay. There's so many things that they can change, but they've got to be willing to change. The last thing on that topic, if your boss won't give you the raise, you got to find a side hustle. You can't be lazy. If you're lazy, I promise you, I'm a multimillionaire, and I wouldn't be here today if I was lazy. You're not lazy. You're sitting here spending all this time putting these podcasts together to not only help yourself learn from people like me, but to help other people. You're already doing it at a young age, 30. I always wanted to help people, but I was always too busy, trying to get to where I wanted to go. And my whole vision was, I'll help people when I get there. You're helping them now, which is really cool. So if they're not making enough money, damn it, make a change in your life, because your boss will keep you broke as long as you're not complaining.
I think that's really valuable advice. My wife, she works at a really great company, and there was a season where it felt like, I'm not saying she was, but it felt like she was underpaid compared to the market average. And she was getting passed up for promotions, and she was always a solid worker, top-notch sales and stuff like that, but she hated sales. She wanted to be training curriculum. So long story short, we decided that she's going to look for another job. Well, they matched what the other job was going to do. And so they stayed.
I love it.
And then now, like, okay, she's not happy with just where she's at. She's wanting promotion. She's wanting growth. The next promotion comes along, she gets another promotion. And since that one change, we have seen her growth and excel a lot in her area of work. And it's helped us tremendously in our family. Simultaneously, I left a company because I'm, commission based, where every sale that I do, I was paying them 30% of the commission. And I was like, forget this. I'm going to go somewhere where I only have to pay $500 a sale of the commission. And then I increased my income by 30%. And by those two changes, we went from my mother-in-law buying us groceries to, we can put a little money in savings. Hey, we have a little extra money. Not a lot of extra money because now we have 3 and now another kid on the way. But we have
3?
We have 3
kids
now and 1 on the way.
Oh, 4. Oh my God.
I'm super jacked for it. And but we're doing hard things like we don't want our kids in public school. So, we're doing things that have changed. And the advice that you just gave our audience is what we just lived out. And then also the other part that you're saying for myself is, not to be lazy. And, I think for any individual who works for themselves, they can get in a lazy funk. And it's really important that you recognize if you're being lazy or not, and then get out of it.
I agree.
Well, hey, Howard, sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'm telling you, if you're a good employee, the best way to get a raise is put in a resignation. I'm telling you, my last company, I had 155
After you find a place
employees.
to go.
What's that?
After you find a place to go.
Right. I had 155 employees. And let me tell you, as a CEO of a company, when you find good people, you become dependent on them.
Yeah.
And, you have to have a group of really good people, or your life as a person who owns a company like that is stressful. When those people would come in my office and put in a resignation, well, why? I would do everything I could to keep those people, including do what you just said happened to your wife. I would say, now, sometimes they would be leaving because a career path, okay? I couldn't compete with that, okay? And I wouldn't want to because I loved my people. I never wanted them to hold them back just to relieve my stress. But if it was financial and they needed more money, I'd give them more money. I'd say, what if I match it? You would do that? I said, you're great. Of course I would do that. But they hadn't come in and asked for a raise. It just, so the point is your wife made herself so valuable that her boss didn't want to lose her. And so he was willing to pay her more money. You saw you needed to make a change. You made the change and it worked. If silence in your boss's eye is acceptance, you got to remember that. Silence is acceptance. If I don't know there's a problem because you're silent, I'm not going to come up to you and say, hey, I want to give you another $500 a week. I'm not going to do that or whatever, because my job is to, do the best I can for my people, but make money. I mean, that's what business is all about. So remember, once you understand you're not making enough money in the household, you have to take it upon yourself to go to Indeed. It's so easy today. It's just so easy to find better work, especially today. So, you were going to ask me.
Yeah, I was just going to say, where can people follow you at?
Okay. The best way to find out more on me and to take my course, by the way, my course, I priced it so that anybody can afford it, $97. It's a 7-hour course. I take them through everything they need to know. And when they leave my course, their financial freedom plan is set up and running on autopilot. All they have to do is go to howarddekkers.com. That's Howard Dekkers, DEKKERS.com. I got a beautiful website set up. It's got all kinds of information on it. If they need to talk to me before they decide to take the course, there's a Calendly. They could just touch it and schedule a 15-minute appointment with me, and I'll get their questions answered. But with that $97, they not only go through the course, but they have access to me through Calendly. If they get stumped on anything, all they got to do is set up, and I don't charge any more. I'm doing this because I love it. I was retired for a year. I was bored out of my tree. And I put the course together. And it's a course I've been on for 30 years. My dad, just really quickly, real cool story. My dad was a tool and die worker. He worked at Chrysler Corporation from age 20 to 55 and then retired. Never made more than $35,000 a year, but he saved 10% of everything he earned and went into his financial freedom plan. That's where I picked up what I know. Today, he hasn't worked since 55. By the way, he's 96 years old today.
Wow.
He gets $85,000 a year on his investments. You're going to remember, he worked his ass off at a factory, never made more than $35,000. He's now making $85,000 a year. He has $3 million in his financial freedom plan. And he put in like $122,000 and it's worth $3 million. That is the power of compound interest. So go to howarddekkers.com and I promise you, you take this course, it'll be one of the best investments you ever made. I mean, I've got people that took this course a year and a half ago. They're up 40% on their money. I mean, we've been in some amazing times in the markets for the last few years. And it's that $97 is nothing. Don't let that hold you back. So,
well, Howard, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. Take care.
Hey, Evan, it was great.